Hello everyone and welcome to Educare 247. This is the third lecture in the series on management and today we'll be covering leadership. That is the part 1 of leadership and it is important for RBI grade B as well as SEBI grade A 2020 examination. Today we'll be talking about what is leadership, its characteristics as well as we'll be doing some of the MCQs related to it. But before moving forward, Educate 247 brings you SEBI Grade A 2020 Crash Course, which features around 5000 plus MCQs with concise content and live doubt sessions to help you. So you can log onto the website and apply SEBI to get 1500 rupees off on the course. Now, before moving forward, let us understand what is leadership. Leadership is a process by which an executive can direct, guide, and influence the behavior and work of others towards the accomplishment of goals in a given situation. Leadership is the ability of a manager to induce the subordinates to work with confidence and zeal. It is the potential to influence behaviors of others. It is also defined as the capacity to influence a group towards the realization of a goal. Leaders are required to develop future visions and to motivate the organizational members to want to achieve the visions. According to Keith Davis, leadership is the ability to persuade others to seek defined objectives enthusiastically. The characteristics of leadership includes that it is an interpersonal process in which a manager is to influence and guide workers towards the attainment of goals. It denotes a few qualities to be present in a person, which includes intelligence, maturity, and personality. It is a group process and it involves two or more people interacting with each other. A leader is involved in shaping and molding the behavior of the group towards accomplishment of an organizational goal. Leadership is situation bound and there is no best style of leadership. Now, coming to the MCQs. First, which of the following is an incorrect statement about the importance of leadership? A. It provides guidance as well as plays a supporting role for employees. B. It is aimed at the fulfillment of self goals prior to organizational goals. C. Initiating action to get the work done. Or D. That it is a morale booster for employees to work together and achieve their goals. So the correct answer here is B. That it is aimed at the fulfillment of self goals prior to organizational goals. That is, this point is incorrect. So we can summarize the importance of leadership as motive power to group efforts, that is, management for getting the work done by others is to supply leadership in the organization. As group efforts and teamwork are essential for realizing organizational goals, leadership becomes vital for execution. Through the exercise of leadership, management can influence any group of human work accomplishment. Leadership pulls up the group to a higher level of performance through its work on human relations. It is an aid to authority, that is, the managers exercise authority in managing people of the organization, and their task becomes easy wherever they are aided by leadership. There are serious limits to the use of authority and power in obtaining high performance. Authority alone can never generate the initiative and resourcefulness required in many jobs, but leadership can obtain tangible and improved results of human efforts because of its main reliance on influence. Leadership contains all the essential ingredients of direction for inspiring people and providing the will to do successful work accomplishments. Effective leadership is needed at different levels of management, from the top management down through its leadership action. It is the social skill of leadership that accomplishes objectives by mobilization and utilization of the people. The best of plans can be foundered, and the ideal organization structure can be shelved by the deliberative restriction on human efforts at the operating level. If the management fails to provide competent leadership, informal leadership will prevail over management in controlling and regulating the behavior of employees. Being confronted with such a situation, management fails to influence workers to improve their performance and to stop employee unrest. Leadership is the natural accompaniment for all association of human beings. For the personal and social contentment, workers are performed to rely mostly on informal leadership if management cannot provide an effective leadership. Competent leadership can, however, integrate informal organization with the formal organization and utilize them constructively for achieving company objectives. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following style of leadership is suitable when safe work conditions and quality is required? And the options are A. Autocratic leadership, B. Democratic leadership, C. Bureaucratic leadership, or D. laissez-faire leadership. So the correct answer here is bureaucratic leadership. That is the C option. The bureaucratic leadership is the management system a couple of large organizations are still using today. If you are dealing with highly regulated business environment, this leadership may still have a massive impact. This style of leadership is also very efficient when used in companies that do not require much innovation or creativity. Bureaucratic leadership is one of the popular leadership styles which was postulated by Max Weber in 1947. It is a system of management whereby the employees are made to follow specific rules and lines of authority created by the supervisors. In other words, these set of leader functions based on official regulations have been fixed by higher authorities within the organization. The bureaucratic leadership pattern focuses on the administrative needs an organization has. Teams and departments of various private and public sector employ this system of management, but it is used mostly in the public sector, which relies heavily on consistency and adherence to rules and regulations to get whatever the results they seek. However, there are unique features which differentiates the bureaucratic style of leadership from others practiced by organizations across the globe. Leaders in this leadership setting create a form of separation from the labor requirements which teams need to complete. In this case, there is a line of command with each leader having separate powers in their jurisdiction. They also do not like laws that are more flexible. Instead, they prefer to have rigid rules and regulations to govern people. Example of bureaucratic leadership, as one can deduce from the definition, is strictly centered on a structure and depends largely on a framework to support its functions. But unlike other leadership styles, like charismatic leadership, one can set up and follow the structure of the bureaucratic system of management with ease. Coming to the next question, which of the following are four types into which the situational leadership is divided? And the options are A. Telling, discussing, supervising, and participating. B. Telling, selling, participating, or delegating. C. Telling, selling, supervising, and participating. Or D. Telling, selling, supervising, and participating. So the correct answer here is B, that is telling, selling, participating, and delegating. Situational leadership style is a style which has been developed by Kenneth Blanchard and Paul Hershey. Situational leadership refers to when the leader or the manager of an organization must adjust his style to fit the development level of the followers he's trying to influence. With situational leadership, it is not up to the leader to change his style, not the follower to adapt the leader's style. In situational leadership, the style may change continually to meet the demands of the situation. Coming to the types, in case of telling and directing, the leader of the organization is the one making the decisions and informing others in the organization about the decision. This style of leadership may also be referred to as micromanagement, as the leader is very involved and closely supervises the people who are working. With this style of leadership, it is a top down approach, and the employees simply do exactly what they are told. About selling and coaching, with the selling and coaching style of leadership, the leader is still very involved in the day to day activities. The decision still ultimately lies with the leader. However, input is requested from the employees before the decision is implemented. With this style of situational leadership, employees are still supervised, but it is a more of a coaching manner rather than a management manner. This style typically works well with those who are inexperienced and still learning. It involves direct praise to increase their confidence and self esteem. Coming to participating and supporting, the participating and supporting style of situational leadership passes more responsibility to the followers or employers. While the leader still provides some direction, the decision ultimately lies with the follower. The leader is there to provide feedback and to increase their motivation. Those who work well under this style of leadership have the necessary skills but lack the confidence or motivation to achieve them. About delegation, it is a situational leadership style where the leader is involved in the least amount with the employees. The employees are responsible for choosing the tasks and the direction they will take. Although the leader may still be involved for direction and feedback purposes, it is on a much lower level. With this style of leadership, the employees know their role and perform it with little supervision required. Moving on to the next question. Approaches to the study of leadership which emphasize the personality of the leader are termed as A. Trait theories, B. Inspirational theories, C. Contingency theories, or D. Group theories. And the correct answer here is A. That is, trait theories. The trait model of leadership is based on characteristics of many leaders who have been both successful as well as unsuccessful, and it is used to predict leadership effectiveness. The resulting lists of traits are then compared to those of the potential leaders to assess the likelihood of success or failure. Scholars taking the trait approach attempt to identify the physiological, which includes appearance, height and weight, the demographic, age, education and background, the personality, which includes self-confidence and intellect levels, as well as social characteristics with leader emergence and effectiveness. Successful leaders definitely have interests, abilities, and traits which are different from those of the less effective leaders. Some of the core traits which have been identified include a drive for higher achievement, leadership motivation, and an intense desire to lead others to reach shared goals, honesty, and integrity, along with self confidence. Moving on to the next question. The term employee-centered and production-centered have been used to describe leader behavior were used by A. McGregor, B. Blake and McCanns, C. Fiedler, or D. Likert. So the correct answer here is D. Likert. The Likert management system is a theory with various management styles a manager can adopt within the organization. In the 60s, Renesas Likert developed four management styles intended to describe the relationship, roles, and involvement of managers and subordinates in industrial environment. He based his study and the developed system on studies into highly productive supervisors of an American insurance company, among others. Later, these management styles were revised and now based on educational institutions. The management theory of Renesas Likert added a new dimension to theories and existing ideas about organizational development. The Likert management system also simplifies the measuring of soft skills in managers, such as trust and communication. Likert believed that the roles and relationship the management and employees had everything to do with the question of how able a company is to become successful. He also believed that answer to questions can be provided in various degrees. With this mindset, he identified four management styles in the Likert management system that can vary depending on the manager and the entire organizational environment. So the first one is exploitative authoritative. In the exploitative authoritative management, it means that the responsibility lies with the people in the higher position in the hierarchy. The people lower on the ladder, that is the subordinates, do not influence the decision making and are not involved in the process. In such a system, communication occurs straight down instead of being a two-way traffic. The communication that reaches the employees mainly consists of warnings and threats. As a result, only higher management feels responsible for achieving the organizational objectives. Coming to benevolent authoritative, this system of management is a form of management in which the responsibility also lies in the top layer in the hierarchy. However, the main difference with the aforementioned system is that the employee motivation has not been induced by means of threats and warnings, but rather by rewards. The superior has more faith in his subordinates, and his subordinates receive a reward for their participation. Communication already tends more towards to become a two-way street, but from employee to superior, it remains limited to what the superior would like to hear. In essence, the subordinates do not feel free to make work-related recommendations or contribution to ideas. The result is a lack of communication and teamwork. Coming to the consultative management system, it is where the superior trusts his subordinates substantially but not completely. He or she demonstrates his trust in his subordinates and constructively uses beliefs and opinions he shares. Employees' motivation is boosted by rewards and the individual levels of involvement. It is known that doing meaningful work strengthens the intrinsic motivation. The consultative management system is characterized by an open form of communication. Coming to the participative management system, the upper management has full trust in the subordinates and encourages them to actively participate in decision making. The employees feel completely free to discuss any issue with their superiors. The participative management is also characterized by good teamwork and rewards and extrinsic motivation factors. The Likert management system describes how management exerts influence on the employees by means of warning, threats, or rewards in the case of good work. Other motivational forces include salary, non-monetary rewards such as responsibilities, possibility for development or relationship with the colleagues or management. So that's it for this video, but prior to ending this lecture, I would like to tell you that Educare brings you a comprehensive full video course for RBI Grade B 2020, and it features subjects which cover ESI as well as finance and management along with focus on current affairs. so you can log on to the website to avail the benefits. So thanks for watching and happy learning.